Everybody, Meinke here from MLive.com. Joined by Nate Atkins. Some big news out of Allen Park today that's not playoff related. The team announcing that it's going to bring back Jim Caldwell for 2017. Nate, there were pretty good arguments on both sides of the coin. I hear from both camps now after the news came out. What's your take on the news of today?
Yeah, I think you can make arguments both ways for sure. I mean, you see the way that they started the year 9-4. No one had them doing that, but to finish the way they have and to lose as kind of handily as they had down the stretch, it hasn't looked good either. I think they just want another year to evaluate this. Is this more the team that we saw the first 13 games or so when they had Theo Riddick out there, when Darius Slay was out there a little more closer to 100%? When Matthew Stafford didn't have a hurt finger, or is this closer to the team now you're seeing against playoff teams that's just not getting it done? Saturday, we'll see how that goes. It was interesting timing for them to come out and do it now, but I just think first-year general manager and Bob Quinn, he just wants to evaluate another year rather than to just kind of hit the reset button this soon.
It's been a hard thing for me to really to think about because I see merit on both sides of this. There was the 1-7 start last year that cost the GM his job, the president, a bunch of coaches. We saw that the tumult they went through last year. Of course, they had a 2-game lead with 3 games to go this year. Mm-hmm. They lost all 3 of those games. Again, that comes down to coaching, and that stuff's on Jim Caldwell. But you flip it around, he's the winningest coach in the Super Bowl era for the Lions. He's taken them to 2 playoff appearances in 3 years. I mean, these are things that have not been done before from coaches such as Caldwell. And so, I think there's a lot of things in his case going for him. And then you look at this year, you missed Darius Slay for multiple games, Ezekiel Ansah, you missed Levy for almost the whole year. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of your key pieces going down. I don't think it was a very deep roster to begin with, and yet they still got 9 wins out of a playoff bid. I mean, I think they outperformed the roster. And I think that goes to coaching too. And so I have no problem with them bringing him back. The big question in my mind, though, is he the right guy to take the franchise to the next level? Mm-hmm. We see it with around the league sometimes coaches that can take a franchise to a certain level, like a Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati. Right. But they've lost 7 straight games in the playoffs. Is that what we're dealing with Jim Caldwell? That's going to be the big question, I think, going forward.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I think this year is emblematic of that. I mean, they beat one team that finished the year with a winning record, and so What are they? Are they just good enough to beat some of these middling teams? Are they going to be able to take that next step? And I think that's part of the evaluation. Is I think there's a recognition by Bob Quinn, Jim Caldwell. I think we'll see it more this offseason that this roster needs to get better. I mean, we're seeing it right now on levels of depth, on levels of outside of a few key players. They don't have what Dallas has. They don't have what Green Bay has roster-wise. And so I think that's just the big question, is to evaluate, can Caldwell win once his pieces are in place like he'd like them to be? I think next year that's when the pressure's going to ramp up, because I'm not convinced that this means that this counts as a contract extension in a philosophical way. I think this means we're going to use next year to evaluate, see whether this is the 9-4 team that was really playing well, or this is the team that doesn't measure up to playoff teams, because we know where they want to get, and they're going to give Caldwell one more year to at least see if he can get there, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure where his ceiling is or where he can take the franchise, but I think the Lions, they know what they have in Jim Caldwell. I think that was a currency in this decision, having some consistency. Because look at Matthew Stafford. He's the most important human being in the franchise. I mean, in his well-being and his place and his performance and production are paramount to whatever the team is going to do going forward. We've seen a spike in his production and his play between Cooter and Caldwell. If you shake things up now, you bring in a new offensive staff, if you change things, you're going back to the drawing board. We've seen what's happened in the past. These transitions take a while, and now you're dealing with. Stafford's going to his 9th year. I just think Bob Quinn likes the foundation they've established this year. Some of the depth you have in some positions that maybe wasn't there before. Now the challenge is putting more stars around that, putting more talent around that, and trying to take the next leap. But having the stability of a Cooter, of a Caldwell, of the staff, provided Cooter doesn't get a job somewhere else, which I don't think he will. But
that's the interesting thing, because Terrell Austin might, and that's been a big part of it. I think Jim Caldwell's reputation. This is a guy who's hired some pretty good coordinators, and Jim Bob Cooter and Terrell Austin. They've elevated some parts of this roster that might not totally be there. If Terrell Austin leaves, I think that's going to add to the evaluation of Jim Caldwell. How does he replace him? Is he a guy that can consistently hire good coordinators? Because that's a very big part of the job, and if he can do that, I think it goes a long way toward his value as a head coach.
Jim Caldwell did hire Joe Lombardi too. That's probably just fair to point out. Stuck with him for a long time too. I give him credit for hiring Jim Bob Cooter, because people love to, like, in this whole Stafford conversation, people love to talk about like how much Cooter has helped them, not Caldwell, because there's a lot of hate, I think, there with Caldwell, how he handled the Joe Lombardi thing. But Cooter was like 28, 29 when he hired him for the staff, and he was 30 or 31 when he promoted him to play caller. He was the youngest play caller in the league. Like Jim Caldwell made some risks in hiring that guy, and of course they've paid off. We've seen that with Stafford. So I think all this goes into the evaluation of Caldwell.
Yeah, and he's traveled with Terrell Austin for like 4 different stops. So these weren't just arbitrary selections. I'm going to pick you to be my coordinators, and they happen to be good. He made good hires with those, but the Lombardi one's a good example because he's got to prove that he can do it, again and again. If Terrell Austin leaves, and maybe we get to a point where Jim Bob Cooter leaves, you've got to be able to replace those guys. We've seen, like in Chicago, where I used to cover, when Adam Gase left for Miami, the Bears didn't replace him very well, and they went 3-13 this year. So that's one of the tests I think might come to Jim Caldwell if Terrell Austin does indeed want to get one of these head coaches.
That's what we got for today. Jim Caldwell back in Detroit for at least another year. Lions play the Seahawks on Saturday in the playoffs. We'll be all over it. For Nate, I'm Kyle. We're on MLive. Keep it right here.